The National Human Rights Commission (NHRC) has issued an advisory on the role of the media in countering and reporting hate speech. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Tony Ojukwu San, presented the advisory at a news briefing to mark the 2023 International Day for Countering Hate Speech in Abuja. Hate speech is any kind of communication in speech, writing, or behavior that attacks or uses pejorative or discriminatory language with reference to a person or a group on the basis of who they are. That is, attacks based on their religion, ethnicity, nationality, race, color, descent, gender, or other identity factor. Therefore, the United Nations proclaimed June 18 as International Day for Countering Hate Speech, building on the UN Strategy and Plan of Action on Hate Speech launched on June 18, 2019. In Nigeria, the NHRC and UN jointly organized the briefing and issued the advisory to protect and promote people's rights from discrimination, intolerance, and hate speech.
Hate speech is intricately related to human rights, either in its form or outcome. To the person spreading hate speech, it is about right to freedom of expression, opinion, speech, or belief. To the recipient of hate speech, it is violation of the rights dignity of the human person and the freedom from discrimination based on religious belief, political, ethnic, gender, cultural, or other affiliations, amongst many other human rights. Hate speeches promote discrimination, divisions, incite violence, all of which violate the right to dignity, right to life, and belonging to a society. Hate speech could, as in recent cases, lead to violation of the right to political participation in the case of elections and political process, and impedes voters' participation and access in the elections. In the build-up to the elections, we witnessed heavy traffic in the spread of hate speeches across many media platforms, often leaving Nigerians and voters deeply divided and maligned. The National Human Rights Commission, in exercise of its mandate, launched the Mobilizing Voters for Election, the MOVE project, which has a broad mandate to promote access, participation, and accountability in the 2023 general elections in Nigeria. Having identified hate speech as an impediment to voter participation and access, the Commission embarked on the following actions: setting up of a national hate speech register to record incidences and reports of hate speech from across the country, training of its staff on monitoring and reporting hate speech, setting up enforcement mechanisms on hate speeches resulting from the electoral process. There is no gainsaying the impact hate speeches had in promoting violence, suppression, and other forms of human rights violation before, during, and after the elections. Following the conclusion of elections, and in looking forward to the 3 off-cycle state elections later in 2023, there is need for stock-taking and to mobilize concerted efforts to strengthen the media in countering hate speech as a major precursor to achieving peaceful elections and social cohesion. Today, hate speech is a threat to national cohesion, peace, security, and attainment of sustainable development and the achievement of human rights. We need to work together to combat hate speeches in political, social, and cultural spaces. As the lead organization charged with the promotion and protection of human rights in Nigeria, the Commission, on the occasion of the International Day for Countering Hate Speech, and in exercise of its mandate under Section 5, paragraphs L, M, and O of the NHRC Act as amended, is issuing a policy advisory on the role of media in countering and reporting hate speech. We welcome the partnership of all the media organizations that have agreed to work with the Commission and the UN on this very important mandate of forging common actions and countering hate speech.
Similarly, the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator lamented the misuse of social media platforms to fuel hate speech. The UN, according to him, is worried about the impact of hate speech on the society, and it will soon come up with a code of conduct for information integrity to detail commitment by UN member states.
That hate speech has fueled conflicts, threatens and has threatened and undermines human rights and efforts to build inclusive and just societies. Hate speech is not only used to distract from important social issues, but often to stoke fear and division, inciting violence and exacerbating tensions. Unfortunately, social media and digital platforms in particular are being used to spread disinformation and hate to considerable numbers of people around the globe. Allow me to note that earlier this year we commemorated 2 days related to genocide, the International Holocaust Day and Rwanda Genocide Day. And I'm mentioning that because through both of those commemorations it was hit home to us again that both these genocides started with hate speech. So, of course, we're not saying in Nigeria we're about to witness this. We're simply saying if we don't tackle hate speech at its origins, the consequences could be extremely dire. Now, in terms of tackling it and specifically prosecution, we are, as UN, seeing 2 scenarios around the world. We are seeing, on the one hand, evident cases where incitement to violence does not get prosecuted. On the other hand, we also see when it is prosecuted, but that it is used then as an excuse to persecute anyone daring to criticize authorities. So it can be a double-edged sword. There is a real risk that tackling hate speech is abused, and this then leads to imposing uniformity of views, curtailing dissent, and undermining democracy. States, including Nigeria, have the obligation under international human rights law to act against incitement to discrimination, hostility, and violence. And as they do so, they are required to fully respect freedom of expression and to protect the rights that people have both offline and online. And this is difficult to do, we know this.